Courage. It's often portrayed as a heroic act, but what if the most profound courage is found in our everyday choices? Today we're exploring how small acts of bravery can transform our lives and the world around us. And
That's such an intriguing perspective. I've never really thought about courage in that way before. Can you elaborate on what you mean by everyday courage?
well, it's all about the little decisions we make daily that require us to step out of our comfort zone. Dr. Jonathan Toomer, in his fascinating work on courage, argues that it's not just about grand gestures, but about having the strength to pursue our goals, overcome setbacks, and be true to ourselves in our day-to-day lives.
That's really interesting. So, it's more about a consistent approach to life rather than isolated moments of bravery.
Exactly. Toomer defines courage as the ability to do something that threatens one, but he expands on this in some really thought-provoking ways. He links courage to things like purpose, passion, and self-leadership. It's about having the guts to live authentically, to pursue your dreams even when it's scary.
That's a much more holistic view of courage than I think most of us are used to. How does Tuma suggest we cultivate this kind of everyday courage?
Well, one of the key aspects he focuses on is discovering your purpose. He argues that many people live their lives based on others' expectations, often their parents, rather than discovering their own unique purpose. And this, he says, can lead to a lot of unhappiness and unfulfillment.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. It's so easy to fall into the trap of living someone else's dream, isn't it? But how does one go about discovering their true purpose?
Toomer gives a great example of a woman who discovered her purpose in cooking. She started with a small restaurant, but because she was so passionate about it, she ended up building an empire, a cooking school, a university, even a food export business. It really illustrates how powerful it can be when you align your life with your true purpose.
Wow, that's incredible. But what about those of us who feel like we've missed our chance to discover our purpose? Is it ever too late?
That's a great question, and Toomer addresses it directly. He emphasizes that it's never too late to discover your purpose. In fact, he says, it is never too late to rise from the ashes of failure and wasted time. It's such an empowering message, especially for anyone who feels like they've missed their chance.
That's so reassuring. But discovering your purpose is one thing, pursuing it in the face of obstacles is another. How does Tuma address setbacks and failure?
Well, he spends a lot of time talking about how to deal with obstacles and disappointments. He doesn't sugarcoat things. He acknowledges that setbacks and failures are a natural part of life, but he emphasizes that how we respond to these challenges is what really matters.
So it's about resilience then.
Exactly. He suggests reframing how we think about failure. Instead of seeing it as the end, we should see it as a learning opportunity. He even proposes redefining the word fail as first attempt in learning. It's a simple shift in perspective, but it can make a huge difference in how we approach challenges.
That's a really powerful reframe. It reminds me of the story about Thomas Edison and the light bulb. He reportedly failed thousands of times before succeeding.
Right, well, Toomer actually mentions Einstein in a similar context. He talks about how Einstein failed 99 times before successfully creating the light bulb. It really drives home the point that persistence is a key component of courage.
Absolutely. But you know, all this talk about purpose and overcoming failure, it seems like it requires a lot of self-awareness. How does Tuma address that?
That's a great observation. Toomer actually talks a lot about self-leadership and authenticity. He argues that we can't effectively lead others if we can't lead ourselves. And part of that self-leadership involves being honest with ourselves about who we are and what we want.
That makes a lot of sense. But in this age of social media, where we're constantly curating our online personas, how do we maintain that authenticity?
Well, Toomer addresses that directly. He talks about how many of us present different versions of ourselves to the world, one on social media, one in public and one in private. But he argues that true courage involves being consistent across all these domains, being true to yourself, regardless of the context.
That's challenging, but I can see how it would lead to a more fulfilling life. Does Tuma offer any practical advice on how to cultivate this kind of authenticity and courage?
Yes, he does. He talks about the importance of discipline, which he defines as doing the right thing when no one is seeing. It's not about external control, but about internal motivation and consistency. He also emphasizes the power of our thoughts in shaping our reality. He says, "What we are today is a product of the kind of thoughts we held in our minds yesterday."
So our thoughts really do shape our reality. That's a powerful idea. Does he give any tips on how to change our thinking patterns?
Absolutely. He suggests visualizing success, listening to our inner voice, and being mindful of what we expose our minds to. He even recommends treating yourself as if you already have what you desire. It's like a form of mental rehearsal for success.
That's fascinating. It's almost like a more positive version of fake it till you make it.
Exactly. And he offers some practical questions to guide personal transformation. Why do I exist? Who are the beneficiaries of my solutions? What tools do I need? These questions can help us gain clarity about our purpose and direction in life.
Those are really powerful questions. I can see how reflecting on those could help someone cultivate courage in their everyday life. But what about the big picture? How does Tuma connect this individual courage to the wider world?
Well, he talks about the idea of the music within you. He suggests that each of us has something unique to offer the world, and it takes courage to share that with others. When we have the courage to share our unique music with the world, we're not only fulfilling our own purpose, but potentially helping others in ways we can't even imagine.
That's a beautiful metaphor. It reminds me of the ripple effect, how one small act of courage can have far-reaching consequences.
Absolutely. Tuma gives examples like Steve Jobs with Apple, or Martin Luther King Jr. with his "I Have a Dream" speech. These were people who had the courage to share their unique vision with the world, and in doing so they changed it. But he emphasizes that it's not just about world-changing inventions or speeches. Each of us has something unique to offer, no matter how others might interpret it.
That's such an empowering message. It makes me think about the courage it takes to just be yourself in a world that often pressures us to conform.
Exactly. And that ties into Tuma's ideas about transformation. He talks about how we're constantly evolving, and that who we are today isn't who we were in the past or who we'll be in the future. Life will present opportunities to test whether we've truly grown and changed. It's not just about saying we've changed, it's about demonstrating that change through our actions and choices.
Well, that's certainly given me a lot to think about. Any final thoughts on cultivating everyday courage?
I think the key takeaway is that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acknowledging our fears and moving forward anyway. It's okay to be scared or uncertain. What matters is how we respond to those feelings. And remember, as Tuma says, you can rewrite the course of your life when you change how you think and agree to move in the new direction of your thoughts.
That's a powerful note to end on. Thank you for this insightful discussion on everyday courage.
Thank you for joining me in exploring these ideas. Until next time, keep being courageous in your everyday life, and remember, your unique music has the power to change the world.